was just closing up.
Sorry to come so late. I lost track of the time. I can come back tomorrow.
Nah, it's fine. How could I help you?
Is there any way you could help me remember the name of a book I used to read as a kid? Write it down for me. It was a series of books about a family of bears that wore overalls. They lived in a tree.
Yeah, the bearer.
Please. Just write it down.
There you are. Anything else I could help you with?
Berenstein.
Yeah, if you're interested, we've got a couple of them in the kids section.
Actually, I don't think this is the correct title.
I'm pretty sure it is. Oh well, it's the Berenstein Bears. Just search under series name wherever you're downloading it later.
No, you don't understand. You misspelled it. You wrote Stein. It's Stain.
Stain? When I was a kid, my favorite book was the Berenstein Bears. The one, No Girls Allowed. I don't have a lot of newly published books on the shelves here anymore, but I always stocked the Berenstein Bears. Berenstain? I don't think so. Come here, I'll show you.
It's the Berenstain Bears. Tell me, were you able to picture the word Berenstein in your head when I asked you before?
Here we are. The Berenstain Bears, huh? Oh, that's weird. I didn't even notice they had changed it.
That's because they didn't, Thomas.
Have we met before?
I used to come here all the time when I was a kid. You were a few years ahead of me in high school. You always with that girl Jennifer. I remember her because she was pretty. Your dad and mom usually helped me here. Your dad was a great guy. He always let me read the comics even when I didn't buy them. My name's John.
Thomas. Good to meet you, John. There seems something familiar about you, but all these years, so many people have walked through these doors. A lot less since Pop's been gone, but what do you mean they didn't change it? It was Berenstein as I remember it.
You and everyone else I've ever talked to, over a certain age anyway.
How many people have you talked to about this?
Enough. Thomas, is there any way that you'll let me into the basement to look for something?
To look for what?
If I told you, you'd think I was crazy. That's why I wanted you to write the name down first, so that maybe you'd be open.
Open to what?
I have no right to put you out this way. I remember as a kid, your dad showing me an original printing of the Berenstain Bears book. I want to look for it.
But why?
I want to see if it says Berenstein, Stein, like I remember it.
I'm sure it would, even if it's even downstairs. Have you just check online? Look for images of the original cover. Like I said, they probably changed the name in the last 20 years.
I'll check online. I've searched up, down, left, right. I've been right through the looking glass and straight through it.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Have a cup of coffee with me. And we'll look for the book in a bit, if you still want to. Fair warning, though, it's a bit messy down there.
Sure. I'd really appreciate that. Let me get my research from the car. I'll be back in less than 5 minutes.
Research? About the Berenstein stuff? I bet I'd find the answer on my phone on Google in less than 5 seconds.
That's one bet I would probably take. You might as well hear the short version so you could decide whether or not to lock the door after I leave.
Oh, yeah? What's the short version?
Well, not unless I'm going crazy along with you and the 90% of people who would write down Berenstein just like you just did, there's a good chance that sometime in the last 20 years, most of the people on this planet died and shifted into an alternate timeline.
So, you didn't lock the door? No. I've read my share of science fiction. Asimov, Heinlein, Scott Card, Simmons. Keyword might be fiction, but I can understand how it's easy to explain some of the weird things that happen in life away with some of the more entertaining theories out there.
But this is not just a theory. You yourself wrote Berenstein. If I came here and said, America's supposed to still be under English rule, I'd understand outright skepticism, but you own a bookstore, and you still wrote Berenstein. I think that's the reason you didn't lock the door on me.
I think the reason I didn't lock the door is because I'm not a jerk, and I don't mind the company, to be honest. Confirmed bachelor sounds cool when you're younger, but it's a little light on the conversation. I also think the reason I didn't notice the Berenstain name all this years is that I just didn't look closely. All the times I ordered them to the store and I never paid attention. Probably a couple of loud children were around when people were buying those books. Maybe I'm right and they just changed it recently.
I have the Google search results in here, but why don't you do it yourself on your phone like you said?
Okay, I'll indulge. When did the Berenstain Bears become the Berenstain Bears? Well, at least you're not alone. First few results are sites and blogs basically saying that the Berenstain Bears are proof that the Earth is now in an alternate reality from the one that most people remember. Wild. There's a bunch of YouTube's video too. Let's see. How many pages of results do I have to get through until we get an answer? Page 2, 3. Let's try this a different way.
You're wasting your time. I've tried every search possible. Berenstain, 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 Berenstain. Name change Berenstain. Name change Berenstain. And 100 other unique string searches. There is no indication on the web, officially, that it was ever anything other than the Berenstain Bears.
Officially?
Type Berenstain into eBay.
Alright. The picture of the first few books clearly say Berenstain.
What do the product descriptions say?
Well, that's different. They say Berenstain, another Berenstain, Berenstain Bears. All the way down the page. There's 15. Alright, next page. Well, here's one Berenstain. But all the others are Berenstain.
Hundreds of listings where the picture of the book clearly says Berenstain. Yet the memory is so ingrained and real in the listing seller's mind that in each case they wrote the wrong, for this reality, spelling, even though they had the right book in front of their faces.
Alright, I'll admit it's interesting. I can't explain it, but, there's got to be a logical explanation for it.
Like what?
Alright. Well, come on, these are books we read as children, or had read to us, right?
Yeah.
So, as kids, are we really paying attention to how the long last name of these bears is spelled? We're just listening to the stories.
Come on, you have to do better than that. That might explain how people might spell it wrong years later. But why would they spell it wrong in the exact same way?
I don't know. Well, look at the name as it is on these books. The Berenstain Bears. The Berenstain, and then Bears. The only part of that entire phrase is the stain. That's the one that doesn't have the E in it. Everything else has an E.
But that doesn't explain why.
But, come on, we were all little kids when we were exposed to these books. Maybe we took one look at the title, saw all those E's, and our little minds just filled in the rest with E's. I don't think we were sounding out the name at 3 or 4 years old. We didn't read it that way. We just thought we did. And that memory of the word as we perceived it just stuck in our minds. Until we noticed the real spelling, or in my case, had it pointed out to me by you.
Do you remember your parents, or your teachers, or whoever was reading the book to you saying Berenstain? Stain is a distinct sound. It's the kind of thing that kids would laugh and make little jokes about. Most people clearly remember the sound Steen or Stein. Both would be how Berenstain might be pronounced, not Berenstain.
That's a fair argument, you're right. And I'll admit that even now, the correct pronunciation, Berenstain, sounds crazy. The thing is, we're talking about for us, 25, 30 years ago? I can't remember what I ate for breakfast last week, so my mind probably remembers the way I thought it was spelled. And that's just the way I now remember hearing it in my head. That's the problem when we try to talk about the past. You and I might have a different memory of this conversation next month. You might swear that I had a blue mug and you had the red one, when I clearly remember the opposite.
The Mandela effect.
What is the Mandela effect?
Your example with the mugs was a good one to explain little differences in how different people might remember little details. Like brothers and sisters years later will remember sitting on opposite sides of a car during a road trip. 20 years later, school kids will remember the classroom differently. These things are always chalked up to the passage of time, and besides, since there's so few people involved, no one ever thinks of these anomalies as anything other than misremembered minutia. Since the explosion of the internet, though, our ability to communicate with others is so radically different than just 20 years ago. It's almost an evolutionary change. So when events have happened that people remember differently later on, it's much easier to find others who remember them the same way. And one of these events that people remember differently is the death of Nelson Mandela.
Hold on. Nelson Mandela? He died a couple of years ago, right? I remember the guy who crashed the funeral. He was pretending to be a sign language guy during President Obama's speech.
Well, what if I told you that about 15% of people who are old enough to remember would swear that they have a clear memory of Nelson Mandela dying in prison sometime during the 1980s?
I'd say that's crazy.
To you, that may be. To me, if I'm being honest, I don't remember Mandela dying during the 80s. But why do many people have a clear memory of it? There are people who remember the news accounts and teachers talking about it the next day.
Hold on. Steve Biko. He was another South American activist who died in the late 1970s, in prison. Whenever we studied apartheid, I'm sure one man's name never came up without the other. We're talking about memories from so long ago.
Maybe. Or maybe we really are living in just one timeline out of an infinity of others that exist alongside each other.
I am open to the idea that there are multiple timelines. I mean, quantum physics, which, trust me, I'm no expert in, but, sci-fi guy here. Quantum physics, I think, has a theory that every time you make a choice in any reality, an alternate reality or timeline exists so that every quantum possibility occurs. Like, that's my understanding of what I've read anyway. But let's just say there's like one reality where the name was Berenstain, and another one where the name was Berenstein, and another one where it's like the Smiths Bears. How could anyone have a memory of the one in the reality that they don't exist in?
Quantum suicide.
Quantum suicide?
Have you ever heard of the Schrodinger's cat thought experiment?
It sounds familiar. I know I've seen it in sci-fi before.
Well, I'll give you the short version then. There's a theory in quantum physics that atoms and other particles exist in what are called superpositions, that they exist in multiple states corresponding to different outcomes until they interact with the world or are observed. Then they collapse into a single state. Do you follow?
Not really, but sort of.
Okay, imagine an atom as a bullet. It could be fired or not fired. It could hit its target or not hit its target. Well, until the decision is made to either fire the bullet or not, there exists at least three possibilities. 1, that the bullet remains in the chamber of the gun. 2, that the bullet was fired and has hit its target. And 3,
hold on, that the bullet was fired and missed the target? I get it. What I also get from what you're saying is that, in theory, that if there's an infinite amount of universes or realities, all three of these possibilities actually play out, just in different timelines.
Right. So in the Schrodinger's cat thought experiment, the idea is that if you locked a cat in a box with a poison gas pill that had a 50% chance of releasing the gas,
then the cat would be both dead and alive?
Yes, until the box was opened and the results, cat dead or alive, were observed. The cat would exist in both states. Once the box was opened, in theory, both states would collapse into one, and to the observer, it would seem as if there was only ever one state. You'd either have a cat that was alive and well, or you'd have a dead cat. It depends which universe you were in.
I was about to say makes sense, but I think it's just giving me a headache right now.
It is a lot to wrap your mind around. Drink some more coffee, because I'm about to take you even further down the rabbit hole with me. So if only one reality exists, then that cat is either dead or it's alive, right?
According to what I understand about all this, sure.
So what if you're the cat?
If you're the cat, you can't observe your own death, so the only reality you could be aware of is the one where the poison pill didn't release its gas. So what's quantum suicide?
So, In quantum suicide, you replace the cat with a human, and replace the box with something that may or may not kill the human. Let's say a grenade. If the human pulls the pin, what are the possible outcomes?
I can only think of one. The human dies.
Not probable, possible.
Alright, I'll play along. 1, the guy splatters and dies. And 2, the grenade misfires. He lives.
That's right. Up until he pulls, the moment he pulls that pin, he exists in at least two different states, dead and alive. If there is only one reality, one of those states collapses into the other, and he lives or dies. If more than one reality or timeline exists, in one he lives, and in another he dies.
Oh, wait a minute. So since the guy can't observe his own death, if more than one timeline exists, the guy would only be aware of the grenade not going off.
Yes. As improbable as it is, if the guy pulled the pin on 100 grenades in a row, each with the possibility, no matter how slight, of going off or not going off. If multiple universe exists, then as far as the guy would ever know, every one of the grenades would have been a dud. And if he did it in front of someone, that observer would exist in both branching timelines. One where the guy dies, and the other where the guy lives.
Fascinating. I have one question, though.
Shoot.
What does any of this have to do with the Berenstein or Berenstain Bears?
Well, you've entertained everything I've had to say so far. Do you think any of it's possible?
Possible? Anything's possible. If one reality could exist, I can't see why more than one or even infinite realities might exist. The thing is, there's no proof. I guess you're going to tell me that the Berenstain name change is the proof?
No, not the proof. Maybe the wake-up call or some kind of signal.
To who? From who? I'm not following.
I have a theory that sometime in the last 20 years, we underwent some sort of cataclysmic event in which most of all people on Earth died, sending us into an alternate reality where it didn't happen. I think the Berenstain name changes like some sort of message to try to get us to realize this.
Whew, that is quite a lot to wrap my head around.
Do you think it's possible that the cat exists in a reality where it's dead and in another where it is alive?
Possible, like in theory, yes.
So what I'm suggesting is no different. The scale is bigger, but the concept is the same. Think about it. If you wanted to get a message across to as many people as possible, where would you put it? What better place than in the collected childhood memories of millions of people?
John, if someone wanted to send a message to the world, a person, or future humans, or aliens that are trying to help us, if they had the ability to change a letter in a last name in between two different timelines, wouldn't this person or beings have an easier way to get the message across than to use something that could so easily be dismissed?
Who knows? Maybe it's not a message, just something to wake our consciousness. A bell ringing meant to try to get us out of the malaise of the last decade or so. Be honest, can you possibly look at the world in the last 20 years and say that we are on the correct path as a civilization?
I think we might be more aware of what's going on in the world today in real time, but I'd have to admit that I'm not happy with the way we're headed. Same way people have felt in their own present for at least the last 1,000 years.
Look, I've spent months researching possible messages in the Berenstain name change. First I tried reading the entire series. I found no messages in them. Then I tried anagrams. There are over 350 word combinations with the letters of Berenstain, over 1,300 in the letters of Berenstain. I've studied all the combinations, and there are some weird phrases. Look, one anagram for Berenstain is Sin Be Enter, and one anagram for Berenstain is Inner Beast.
Whoa, this is starting to sound like the Da Vinci Code. There's like a Kodiak Bear joke in there somewhere, but I'm too caffeinated to think about it.
Thomas, you have to admit that two references to sin and the beast within might mean something. It could be a warning of some kind.
John, I'm sure if there are enough anagrams of my first and last name together, you could find interesting phrases.
Yeah, but look, take a look at the Latin translations. Look at all the anagrams for those.
I mean, come on, I'm just not seeing it.
Are you kidding? Even if the times on the other side in the beam out, we do the beam out, be young sin, but good times, but do not be. Combine those with inner beast and sin be enter, and it practically reads like an apocalyptic poem, one warning us to get our act together.
Hey, it's getting late. Why don't we see if we can find that old Berenstein, the Berenstain Bears book downstairs?
Sure. Hey, I realize how crazy this all sounds.
Now, careful down here. I've been meaning to clean it out. I just haven't gotten around to it. Back to it. If the entire world's population slipped into a new timeline, why would some people remember the name as Berenstain Bears?
I think that there are people alive in this timeline who never existed in the other Berenstein timeline. Maybe in the other timeline they died, or their parents never met, but in this timeline such minor changes occurred to where now they exist, and have only existed in this timeline. The whole butterfly effect thing. So, if all they've ever known was this alternate reality, or timeline, then it would have always been the Berenstain Bears to them.
So when do you think we actually shifted to this timeline?
For everything I do know or think or feel, I'm really not sure. Maybe there was all-out nuclear war with Russia, or something started in the Middle East. Maybe the Hadron Collider created a black hole that we got sucked into, or a new Big Bang. Maybe the ancient Mayans were right, and the world was fated to end in 2012.
The Mayans? Didn't they have a constellation that looked like a bear wearing a straw hat and overalls?
Funny. We really could never know when we died because we would never be able to observe it. The important thing is that if we allow for the possibility of alternate timelines, or infinite timelines, then we are most definitely living in one or another, or many at the same time.
Well, infinity is a big number. It seems...
It seems what?
Nah, I know. Man, I lost my train of thought.
Come on, we're just chewing the fat here. It seems what?
Well, whether it's true or not, it just seems like the whole theory could be used as a cop-out.
How so?
Okay, so imagine you have two choices. Steal from a bank or don't steal from a bank.
So, in one timeline you make the moral choice, and in another you do the wrong thing?
Yeah. So in the timeline where you make the wrong choice, or the bad, immoral choice, you get caught, get locked up, everyone thinks you're a criminal, but in your own mind you absolve yourself of all responsibility. Hey, it's not my fault that I'm stuck in the timeline where the quantum possibility existed that I would break the law. I'm a good person in the other timeline. That's the real me. Where would that line of thinking end? Is there a timeline where Hitler saved all the Jews?
I'm not sure. Maybe. I'm sure there are things that we all wish we had done differently. Maybe we did do them differently in another reality. But this is the one we're stuck with now. It's future timelines that I'm worried about.
Tommy! Sorry, man. You threw me for a loop when you mentioned Jennifer before. My girlfriend back in high school. We were at prom, and when I came back from the bathroom, she was dancing with this guy who had always made me jealous. I started such a fight. I was such an idiot. Stubborn. I haven't thought about her in a long time. That's the other thing about memories. We can learn to forget things sometimes when we need to.
So you don't know what happened to her?
Well, a friend of mine who went to our reunion did say that he heard she was divorced. He told me I should contact her, but what would I say at this point?
So, if we find it, what's your bet? Berenstein or Berenstain?
Well, honestly, I think it's going to be Berenstein like I remember, but I'm not sure.
If it does say Berenstein, then we'll have a whole other question to answer.
What's that?
Who has the power to erase all evidence from the internet of the name change? And if they could do that, why would they?
Well, the short answer would be just to see what they were capable of getting away with. So much of our collected and personal memories are stored online now. The ability to subtly or not subtly change things is so much power, it actually would have me rooting for alternate timelines.
Be careful what you wish for.
There it is. The Berenstain Bears. I guess I was wrong. Man, I really thought that it was Berenstain. I guess I'm the one who misremembered it.
I don't think you did. I think you remembered it perfectly.
John, why did you bring a gun in here?
Please stay still, Thomas. This is a live grenade.
I'm gonna pull the pin now. No! It's not actually a live grenade, is it?
I assure you, it is very live. I also assure you that we are very dead in whatever timeline the two of us just branched off of.
You're insane. Still Berenstains, if that's what you're getting at.
I wish you know how long I've prayed it were as simple as that. I've thought of the timelines like branches. Once you branch off, you can't go back. Or at least, that's what I thought of until tonight.
What you thought? You thought, and you're pulling the pin on what you say is a live grenade? What is the point of all this? Why did you come here tonight? No, don't! Blanks?
That may be the 2,000th time I've done that. Maybe the 10,000th. It's not like I keep a count. In the timeline I just branched off of, you are probably calling an ambulance right now, but it's too late. Because the fact that the gun didn't go off in this timeline means that I'm already dead in the other one.
You need help, John. Serious help. Let me help you. Just give me the gun. No!
So now it's about time I answered your question. Why did I come here tonight?
Why did you come here tonight?
I loved this place when I was a kid. Reading books here helped me escape from some bad stuff that was going on at home. Some really bad stuff. Your dad was one of the nicest men I've ever met, and I was so jealous of you.
Me?
How could I not be? To me, you seem to have the perfect family, a great family business, and a perfect girlfriend. What was her name again?
Jennifer?
Right, Jennifer. I was just checking to see if you knew that.
What is that supposed to mean?
Thomas, I love this place so much that when I decided to commit suicide when my wife and kids died last year, I wanted to visit her one last time. But when I came here, it was a pharmacy.
What?
It was a pharmacy. I asked around, and then I looked you up on Facebook, and it said you were living in a different state with your wife Jennifer and your 3 kids.
Now I know you're delusional. Please, just give me the gun and we'll talk about it. You don't have to hurt me or yourself.
I'm not delusional. Like I said, I've put this gun under my chin thousands of times and pulled the trigger. Not long after I started noticing the Berenstain Bear name change and other things I couldn't be sure of. The fact that so many people remembered the name as Berenstain made me realize that at some point on this timeline, everyone must have died somehow. I wanted to find a reason why. If I can't end my life, I at least want some purpose to it. And when I pulled the trigger, sitting inside my car tonight outside the pharmacy, when I opened my eyes, the pharmacy was no longer there. Your bookstore was. And you. So maybe I found my purpose. You.
I can't believe that.
Well, you should, because eventually my luck in this timeline's gonna run out.
I don't even think those are live rounds.
Tell that to the version of you in the timeline where I fell dead on the floor just now. After I blow my brains out, I'm hoping you'll take the theory more seriously. Of course, I'll just jump into another timeline where there'll be a you who doesn't believe me.
Even if you believe that you will always jump into a new timeline every time you pull the trigger, what's your endgame here?
For someone who doesn't believe me, you seem awfully nervous about me pulling the trigger. I don't know if it's possible, but I'm going to keep pulling this trigger until I branch off into a timeline where my wife doesn't get behind the wheel after 2 drinks.
I'm sorry that happened, but didn't you say that things from the past couldn't be changed?
That's what I thought. That's why I got so wrapped up in the Berenstain name change. How could so many people have shifted from the same timeline? It took my focus off thinking I could never shift into a timeline where my wife and kids still exist. But then I saw this bookstore, and you, and your lonely life here. Infinity. It's a pretty big number. And for your information, Thomas, infinity is not actually a number. Don't!
Hello?
Jennifer?
Captain, I am scanning for biological life forms. My sensors are registering a non-biomass anomaly. I will route the databank to check for problems.
It seems you have a problem, Captain.
I will keep routing the database.
of night that was good for one of two things. Either going out and painting the town red, or sitting in your office that's 3 months late with the rent and trying to figure out how you're going to pay off a debt to a loan shark who just might decide he's had enough and wants to make an example out of you. Me? I was doing the latter, but not necessarily by choice. I'd had the light bulb outside the office installed just so I'd be able to see someone coming before they saw me. Tonight, it only served as a preview to terror. That shadow could only be made by one man, Styx, the loan shark. I'd never heard of Styx coming to collect on a debt himself. Then again, dead men tell no tales. Styx! Didn't Bruno tell you? I just need a couple more days to scratch together.
Mr. Richard, I'm not here to collect the $10,000 you owe me.
10,000? Is it all the way up there now?
Mr. Richard, I'm a busy man, and I don't want it to be known that I visited you. I have a business proposition for you.
Yeah? What's that?
I'd be willing to consider the debt you owe me paid if you perform a service for me.
Styx, listen, with all due respect, I'm not going to perform those kind of services for you. We've been through this.
I'm speaking of your services as a private eye. If you were corrupt, you'd have been on my payroll even before you were thrown off the police force.
What is it you want me to investigate?
I believe one of my employees is planning to betray me.
Who?
That is precisely what I'd like you to figure out.
What's got you thinking someone's gonna betray you? I need something to go on.
Having $10,000 in gambling debts erased is enough for a man of your talents to go on. Talk to my men. Figure out who is going to betray me.
I'll take the case.
I never had you pegged as a man who entertained delusions of choice when there is none.
When I was a kid, my mother always told me that I went looking for trouble. But I wish you could see the shadow on the floor right now because, like I always said, trouble finds me. Of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, why'd you have to walk into mine?
Vic, why was Styx here?
He's your boyfriend. Why don't you ask him?
No games, Vic.
I owe your boyfriend some money.
So, he'd get one of his goons to get it from you. What did he say?
He wanted to know what kind of flowers you like.
You loved me once.
Yeah, well, nobody's perfect. Since when do you care so much about the guy you're with?
He scares me. He's acting crazy lately.
As opposed to 2 hours after you dumped me and attached yourself to him?
Vic, I don't wish to go back to this. You were impossible to be with after.
After I got thrown off the force? Makes sense. I was the only honest cop, and they got rid of me. Like you got rid of the only guy that ever treated you right.
Vic, whatever he asked you to do, don't. For me.
For you? I gave up everything for you. I've got nothing left, except nothing left to lose. Styx owns a number of bars around town, but Cocktails was where most of his goons hung out. It was the kind of place a guy could go to get away, get a few drinks, and get $10,000 in debt.
Vic?
Otto? That you?
Yeah, it's me, Otto.
Why you standing in the alleyway, Otto?
Styx told me to call him if Grace comes here. I gotta talk to you, Vic.
Oh yeah? What's going on?
Vic, I gotta break your legs.
Both of them?
You owe Styx a lot of money.
Yeah, about that. You think maybe I could have a couple of days?
Thing is, I thought maybe I break your legs. The other guys, maybe they go easy on you.
That's real sweet of you, Otto.
Well, you's the one found my cat when she run off last year. I don't want to see you get hurt.
Couple more days, Otto. That's all I need.
Okay, Vic, but I can't tell the fellas what to do.
Yeah, speaking of the fellas, anyone acting strange lately?
Nah, no one been acting strange. Unless you count Sticks.
Sticks? Yeah? Like how?
He been yelling at everybody, asking where we been, and then when we tell him, he asks the other guys if we're lying.
Thanks, Otto.
Sure, Vic. Remember, 2 days.
Right. Two or 3 days.
I don't know who's gonna cry more when I break your legs. You or me?
Yeah. The suspense is killing me. One of the better qualities of cocktails was the privacy. If you needed to talk without a bunch of people hearing every word you said, you were in the right place. I wasn't sure if I could get any information out of Sonny, but to erase a $10,000 debt, I was gonna try.
This the last place I thought you'd show your mug.
Well, I'm working on the 10 grand. I just need a couple more days.
What have you been up to tonight?
Me? Nothing. I was at the office, then I came down here. I didn't know my credit isn't any good anymore.
When you owe Sticks $10,000, you don't go drinking more of his liquor. Or trying to steal his girl.
Grace? What are you talking about? I'd never want to get back with that maniac.
No one needs a drink. Beat it. I followed Grace myself tonight. To your place.
Why'd you follow her?
I have my orders, and I'm a faithful soldier. That means I know what I might have to do if Sticks finds out about you and Grace.
Hey, there's no me and Grace. That was over a long, long time ago.
Then what was she doing at your place?
That's her business.
You live dangerously, my friend.
Excuse me. I need to use the men's room.
Yeah, well, I gotta go see Sticks anyway.
I needed a place to clear my head, and this dank bathroom was the best available. I'd approached Sonny to get info out of him, and he ended up giving me the 3rd degree. Whatever was going on didn't smell right, and it had nothing to do with the filth in the toilet. I tried to tell the face staring back at me to watch his back, but he's not always the best listener. When I got back from the bathroom, I have to admit the smell wasn't any better in the bar. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but the body language didn't suggest he was teaching her how to make a white Russian. I was beginning to think that maybe I'd just be better off selling my kidney to raise the $10,000 when I decided to follow my arm before whoever had grabbed it tore it off.
Hey, Vic. It's me, Otto.
Yeah, I know, Otto. What's going on?
Nothing. How are you doing?
I'm alright. No broken legs yet.
Yeah, 2 days.
What'd you pull me in here for, Otto?
No reason. I thought maybe you wanted to talk.
About what?
Anything.
I like talking to you, Otto, but I'm working right now.
You don't have to go, do you?
I kind of do, actually.
Okay, has it been 5 minutes yet?
No. Why?
I'm supposed to keep you busy for 5 minutes.
It's been 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. I guess you could go then.
See you around, Otto.
Bye-bye, Vic.
When I was a cop, I wasn't just honest. I was good at my job. Since I've been thrown off the force, my game has slipped. I'd felt since the night started that I was being badly played. That's the problem with gambling. You ante up your soul enough times, eventually you're gonna lose it. He was just a dumb kid, Sticks.
Well, we all were at one time. It's more dangerous for some than others.
It wasn't his fault. She probably had him wrapped around her finger.
Careful with your words, Mr. Richard.
What are you gonna do? Kill me too?
I haven't killed anyone. In fact, I came in and found you standing over the body.
No one would believe that.
Oh, but I think you're wrong. The jealous ex-boyfriend, visited tonight by Grace, kills the new boyfriend in a fit of jealous rage. I think your friends on the police force would believe that.
Did Grace know?
I wish I had time to stand here and answer all your questions, Mr. Richard. But if Otto kept better track of time, I'd have been gone before you found the body. Good night. Oh, and I'm an honest man. Consider your $10,000 debt paid in full.
And that was that. He had me. And I was trapped worse than Grace. I could do the right thing, but it would only get me killed, or worse, land me in prison for the murder of some dumb kid. The best I could do was go home, and wish I had the guts to do the right thing. I knew one thing for sure. One way or the other, Styx was going to take the fall one day. And when he hit the ground, I wanted him to know that it was me who put him there.
Oh, my sweet child, be brave as you bring this medicine to your sick grandmother.
Yes, Mother. No need to worry. La la la. La la la. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ah, 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 ah. La 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 la. Ah, la 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 la. Oh, 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 oh. Ah, ooh, 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 ooh. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Ooh, do, 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 do. La, la, la. La, 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 la. Do, 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 do. Loo, 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 loo. Loo, loo, loo. Loo, lie, low, 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 lie, 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 lie. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? The big bad wolf, the big bad wolf. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? La 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 la. Lie, 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 lie. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
What happened? Don't worry. I called you an ambulance while you were unconscious. You're an ambulance! You're an ambulance! You're an ambulance! You're an ambulance! You're an...
8-Bit, please stop. That rubble's too thick for you to break through. You know, it's a little ironic. This is the same place me and Cornelia first found you when we were younger, playing hide and seek all those years back. And now we're both trapped in here. But I mean, if Cornelia hadn't switched the transfers, we would have found those bugs by now and we wouldn't be... No. It's my fault. I screwed up big time. Her and Filigree must hate me now. I left Cornelia alone, now she's missing. I destroyed Filigree's sculpture, who knows how long it took her to make that. Probably a bajillion years. Worst part of this is, I put us all with you. I probably just got in your way. Yeah, I thought so. I mean, I mess up everything I touch. The monorail station, your towers, your friendships. Not like I have no friends. I can't even say I'm sorry. Hey, where'd you go? No way! The pulverizer? Haven't seen one of those in years. How do we miss this? 8-Bit. There's no way that thing can possibly be working after so many years. This thing is older than Grandma's wrench collection, and the wrenches are older than her. Never mind. Continue. Wait a minute. 8-Bit, light it up. I think we found our ticket out of here.
Now, more music on your favorite station.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Rest your head on my shoulder and sleep. Close your eyes. And I will close mine. Close your eyes.
The way we dream is amazing, magical, really. An escape to a world created by your mind. When I went through the darkest times, my dreams crafted this world of harmony, a world of one simple color, one special color. I was born with certain expectations. Those expectations did not fit me. To be flooded with blue. To be scolded for pink. I never understood who I was. Then one day the mighty tree gleamed. It twinkled as I searched for answers up above. I bathed in the sea of pink. In those waking moments you realize life is not so pink and blue. Our perceptions and understandings of ourselves are not so pink and blue. The way we choose to love and be loved is not so pink and blue. This world does not teach by color, but rather by deep, unconditional love. My dream world brought me peace and joy. It helped me discover my truth. In the end, remember the power of truth and love. And remember, you have that power.
look up what people created for a Daft Punk tribute.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Gee, sorry. It's a pretty standard stunt, Homer.